Okay, so get this. We're going deep today.
Oh,
Yeah, deep into how Germany's reacting to the new U.S. president, specifically.
okay.
We've got this leaks memo, right, from the German ambassador to the U.S.,
Wow.
obtained by Reuters, and it's a
Mhm.
doozy, let me tell you, no punches pulled.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and to add to that, we're going to sprinkle in, like, public reactions from a Reddit thread on this whole thing
Interesting. Okay.
to get a sense of the anxiety,
Yeah, I can imagine.
it's out there.
I bet.
So, you ready to dive in?
Absolutely.
Okay, so right away,
Yeah.
the ambassador drops this phrase, maximum disruption.
Oh. Okay.
And
Oh my.
honestly gives me chills.
I bet.
It's like he's saying, like, hold on tight, things are about to get crazy. It's certainly not your typical diplomatic language.
No.
And then when you look closer, right, into the memo,
Yeah.
there's this real worry about Trump's agenda, concentrating power in the presidency.
Right.
Maybe even like sidelining Congress and states' rights. Yep. And he gets specific too.
Oh.
Like he actually talks about the legislature, law enforcement, even the media being used as political tools.
Oh, wow.
That's not just some abstract theory. That's the stuff that can like really break down a democracy.
It absolutely is. And that's, I think that's what makes democratic backsliding so scary. It's not like a light switch. It's gradual, norms and institutions just eroding.
Yeah.
And often it's hard to see at first.
Exactly.
Think about like that event and how they reacted to it. That was a turning point.
Right.
Where they used emergency powers
Yeah.
to justify cracking down on opponents limiting civil liberties.
It's a scary reminder of how quickly things can fall apart.
Yeah, for sure.
And what's really interesting is this memo doesn't just focus on the U.S. itself.
Okay.
The ambassador also brings up big tech companies
Really?
and their potential influence in a second Trump term,
Oh.
which is a whole other, can of worms.
Yeah.
But there's this one detail that really jumped out at me. It was about Elon Musk
Okay.
and his recent endorsement of a far-right German political party.
Interesting.
Yeah, big change from his, apolitical stance before.
Yeah.
And it raises some serious questions about foreign interference in elections,
Yeah.
and how much influence these tech giants have on the world stage.
Yeah, it's like we're in this new territory
I know, right?
where these figures with their billions of users and all their resources can maybe swing elections, change policies in ways we've never seen.
I know. It's both amazing and terrifying at the same time.
Totally.
Like manipulating algorithms, spreading misinformation.
It really shows this this double-edged sword of technology. Like on one hand, social media, it connects people, it fosters debate, gives a voice to those who might not have one.
Yeah.
But then on the other, you can weaponize it for propaganda,
Right.
hate speech, and silencing dissent.
Right. And as these companies just keep getting bigger, the stakes keep getting higher.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder how we can even regulate them.
Yeah.
Without, stopping innovation or messing with free speech.
It's a huge challenge for governments all over the world.
Absolutely. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about the elephant in the room, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Okay.
The memo, it's weird. It expresses this hope
Oh.
and concern about its role. Like, on one hand, the ambassador says, yeah, recent rulings have given the president more power, which is worrying.
Sure.
But then he also says the court might, protect against the worst abuses of power.
Interesting.
It's like he's saying, well, things are bad, but at least we've got the Supreme Court.
It's a fascinating tension, and it shows just how complex the Supreme Court's role is in U.S. politics.
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, they're supposed to be impartial, right? A check on the other branches.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's all tied up with politics.
Of course.
The justices are appointed by the president, confirmed by the Senate, and their decisions can totally change the balance of power.
And to make things even more complicated, the court's makeup has changed a lot recently, right?
Right.
We've got a conservative supermajority now.
Right.
And they seem much more willing to, back up strong executive authority.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to say if the court will, limit Trump's power or just go along with his agenda.
It is. It's the million-dollar question.
Isn't it?
And it's one that'll be debated for years to come, I think.
Absolutely.
So, as we're looking at these anxieties, one thing's clear. This isn't just about U.S. politics.
Right.
There's this palpable fear, both in the memo, in that Reddit thread,
Yeah.
that Trump's policies, his whole approach to foreign stuff, could really impact the whole globe.
It's like, what's that saying? When America sneezes, the world catches a cold.
Right.
But here, it feels like America might unleash a hurricane.
Oh, wow.
And everyone's like scrambling for cover.
I mean, it's not wrong to say the stakes are super high.
No, not at all.
And a big worry is this Don Roe doctrine thing.
Yeah. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
I have, but honestly, I'm still a bit fuzzy on it.
Okay.
Like it sounds isolationist.
Yeah.
But what does it actually mean?
It's a term thrown around a lot lately.
Yeah.
Basically, it's about this possible shift in U.S. foreign policy.
Okay.
Moving away from global engagement towards like an inward-looking America First approach.
Okay.
The term itself, it plays on the Monroe Doctrine from the 1800s.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which warned Europe not to mess with the Americas.
So it's like a modern version.
Yeah.
But instead of keeping Europe out, it's keeping America out of everywhere else.
Exactly. And for countries like Germany, who've relied on the U.S. for security, for economic partnerships.
For so long.
This is unsettling.
Yeah, totally.
Imagine like the impact on NATO.
Oh, yeah.
Cornerstone of European security.
For ages.
But if the U.S. wavers on that, everything's up in the air.
And we see that tension already, right?
Yeah.
The memo mentions Germany not meeting those NATO spending targets. Constant friction point between the U.S. and its allies.
It really highlights, the different priorities, different views at play.
Totally.
The U.S. under Trump seems to want like a transactional approach to alliances, emphasizing money above all else.
Which I get the logic.
Yeah.
You can't expect one country to like handle everyone's security forever.
Right.
But demanding allies pay up or else feels a bit like, well, extortion.
It does risk undermining that cooperation, that shared sacrifice that made these alliances strong.
Right.
It creates uncertainty, mistrust.
Yeah.
Not good when the world's already facing so many problems.
Speaking of problems, let's not forget the economic side.
Oh, yeah.
Remember those trade tariffs Trump put in place?
Of course.
First term.
Yeah.
Those messed up the global economy.
Yeah.
And there's a real fear he might do it again.
Definitely. Those tariffs, they showed how U.S. decisions can have these unintended global consequences. Right. And the worry is Trump, now back in office, might be even more willing to use trade as a weapon.
It's not just about U.S. Germany trade, though, right?
No.
It's the whole interconnected global economy.
Right. Disruptions in one place can ripple out.
Affect
businesses, supply chains.
People's lives.
Exactly. And that's where those Reddit fears get real. Yeah. People worried about jobs, savings, providing for their families.
It's not abstract anymore.
No, it hits home.
It's like a reminder that in our connected world, what one country does affects everyone.
Absolutely.
And it makes you wonder if the U.S. turns inward, putting its own interests first, what happens to global cooperation?
Right.
To stability?
Big question.
Can we even solve, like, climate change? Pandemics? Cyber threats? Without working together?
Right. That's the core question.
It is.
And it needs some serious thought.
Yeah.
Not just in the U.S., but everywhere.
We're back, and after all this, the memo, the Reddit discussions, one crawling keeps popping up for me.
Okay.
What happens when a superpower like the U.S. starts to, like, pull back?
It's the big question, isn't it?
What's the plan when the country that basically built the world order decides to change the rules?
Keeps a lot of people up at night, that's for sure.
Yeah, because there's no easy answer, right?
Really?
It's this balance between respecting a country's choices and upholding, those democratic ideals the U.S. has always pushed for.
Right. It's tricky.
It's not like Germany or anyone else can just tell the U.S. what to do.
No.
Can't send a strongly worded letter and expect everything to go back to normal.
Right. So how do you even influence a superpower?
Especially when, there's a risk of them hitting back.
It's a delicate situation, absolutely.
But doing nothing isn't really an option either. In the memo, it suggests a few things. First, diplomacy.
Yeah.
Got to keep those lines open, even when things are rough.
It's like, what's that saying?
Keep your friends close.
Yeah, keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
But here it's more like, keep talking to everyone, even when it's tough.
Exactly. Even with big differences, you can still find common ground.
Right.
Or at least, manage those disagreements.
And diplomacy isn't just governments talking to each other.
No, there's public diplomacy too.
Right, connecting with people directly.
Yeah.
Building relationships.
Because governments change.
Yeah.
But those connections, those can last.
And those Reddit threads we talked about,
yeah,
they're a great example.
Totally.
People from different countries debating, sharing their views.
Sometimes agreeing.
Yeah, sometimes not.
But at least trying to understand each other.
Exactly. It shows that even with all this geopolitical stuff,
yeah,
there's still that human need to connect.
Understand. Yeah.
But it also shows we can't just sit back and hope for the best.
Right. That's where we come.
Well,
civic engagement at home and globally.
Holding leaders accountable.
Yep.
Fighting for our values.
Using our voices.
To shape what happens.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And I think that's a good place to wrap up.
Yeah.
Because in the end, the future isn't set in stone.
Yeah.
It's shaped by what we do.
By our choices.
The conversations we have.
Absolutely.
We've looked at the worries, the warnings.
The potential consequences.
Of this new chapter in American politics.
But the story's not over yet.
No, it's still being written.
And we all get to play a part.
So stay informed, stay involved, keep asking those tough questions.
Couldn't agree more.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.